If we don't get our governance tight like we have it now, if we allow it to deteriorate and slide, we are inviting a lot of problems, chief amongst them being corruption. That will bring us to our knees. It has brought a number of very respected institutions to their knees. Case in point, PRASA, Transnet, Eskom, those were the jewels. SAA, those were the jewels of this country. But they have one common thread that brought them down spectacularly, and that is corruption, maladministration. We need to make sure that we don't allow it in the higher education space.
Lekker, ons rol. My gunsteling gesegde is, dis beter om konstant goed te wees as soms uitmuntend.
Toe ek besef, maar daar's 'n heeltemal 'n ander wêreld, daar's 'n ander dimensie.
It's not like winning the lottery where you put yourself out there and then it happens to you. You have to put yourself out there, but then the hustle starts.
Today, prepare to meet a force of nature, a man whose intellect and leadership have left an incredible mark across the very foundation of our society. From the highest echelons of academia to the exciting world of global energy security. Our guest isn't just an educator, he's the strategic architect currently serving as the principal and Vice-Chancellor of the North-West University. But his impact extends far beyond the lecturing halls. He was the steadfast guardian of our nation's most critical energy infrastructure. Globally, his wisdom has been sought and applied by nations worldwide. Armed with a PhD in nuclear engineering and a career defined by groundbreaking contributions, his perspective on innovation, governance, and the future of power is not just insightful, it's essential. It is an immense honor to welcome to Money Talks the one and only Professor Bismark Tyobeka. Professor, thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor and a privilege. I know you have a hectic schedule, so thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much for having me.
I think my goal for today is maybe a twofold one. The one is people in your stature and that has accomplished so much in your career rarely get the chance to sit down and maybe like a forceful look back on what you have achieved and from where you came. That is my first objective, is for you to maybe sit down and take us through that journey and maybe reflect on an amazing career that you have up to now. And then secondly, if someone somewhere can see this interview and maybe get inspiration or say, listen, I saw this interview and it sparked a dream in myself. Then I think that's the goal for me today. So, lastly, thank you so much. It's an awesome privilege.
So thank you. I look forward.
Couple of icebreaker questions, if it's fine with you. I'm going to read a word, and then the first thing that pops into your head, you can just say. So the first one is future.
Bright.
Sunday mornings.
Relaxed.
Africa.
Huge potential.
Social media.
Disruptive.
Money.
The driver.
Complete the sentence. This is the last one. I still want to
leave a lasting legacy.
Let's start with the questions. I know you have a hectic schedule. You were born in and raised in a small village and even herded cattle when you were a young boy. How did that rural upbringing and those early experiences in your life shape the individual that you are today?
A rural upbringing has got a number of takeaways. One, respect. Respect for the elderly, respect for authority, and respecting yourself. That's one thing you take away from rural upbringing that takes you into the future, and that actually paves your future on a very, very good trajectory. Secondly, as a head boy, one of the things that I also had to learn was discipline. I grew up herding cattle that belonged to my uncle, and he was a very, very strict man, a strong disciplinarian. Therefore, you had to do certain things at certain times on the dot. Because you see, with that discipline also comes time management. Those are things you learn from a village setup, which become very essential for execution at the level where I am now. So my uncle used to dictate that you can't be in bed until sunrise. You have to wake before the sun. Then there are certain things that you need to do at a particular time, like 11 o'clock, you have to milk the cattle. And you can't do it later than that, because then the calves, the colors, are very, very hungry. So you can't punish the little ones because of your laziness. So time management, discipline, respect. Those are the takeaways from my rural upbringing.
Beyond your demanding roles, you still maintain a connection to farming. I mean, I think you have cattle yourself. What draws you to farming, and what is the lessons that you've learned that is applicable in farming to your role at the university now?
The first thing that drives me into farming really is the passion for it. You see, when you grow up doing something, and then you grow to love it, it becomes a passion. So you, as a Xhosa man, we were taught that one of the prized items or commodities that you must have, it's not a nice car, but it's a kraal full of cattle or full of goats. Then you are starting to be an accomplished Xhosa man. So that's where it started. But secondly, as I begin to mature as a farmer, it then dawned on me that without the farmers, the nation would die of hunger. We need to teach our children that milk does not come from Woolworths or Pick and Pay, but milk comes from a cow. And a cow starts as a calf that needs to be taken care of. A cow needs to graze. Therefore, you can't so much just burn the field. You know, if you do that, you are killing food security. Now, the connection to what I do is that as the university, we have a duty to contribute towards certain things that keeps our country going. One of those things I strongly believe is our contribution towards food security for the province and for the country. The World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations have forecasted that if we don't do enough between now and 2050, half of the population, the world population, will be living in hunger. Now, what is it that we must do? As the university now, I'm connecting what my passion to what the university ought to be doing and is doing, and we want to do more. Let's teach more farmers the smart ways of farming. Given the challenges of climate change and droughts and all that, we need to put more effort in modernizing agriculture. We need to put more effort in making agriculture look sexy. Today's youth think you have to be in the boardroom with a tie. They think you must be on an iPad and computer in a boardroom. You can have your iPad and a computer right there in the mealie fields, you know, applying smart farming technologies. That's what we are doing at the North-West University through a number of initiatives, including the recently launched Agri-Hub in our Mahikeng campus.
You are a sports enthusiast, actually, and teams like Orlando Pirates, I heard, and the Springboks and Proteas. What role does sport play? You said now, just off camera, you said over December's your relaxed time is to watch cricket.
Yeah.
is there any parallels that you draw out of the sport world into maybe how you run the university?
Yeah, a lot actually. You see, South Africa comes from a very difficult history of segregated societies, and where people have grown walls between each other, whether it is a tribal segregation, whether it's a racial segregation, or a gender segregation for that matter, where women used to sit on one side of the church, it still happens in some churches, and men sit on the evening meetings. Long ago, it used to be that you have one side for women, one side for men. But sports has demonstrated to be a force that brings people together from all kinds of backgrounds, from all kinds of races, all kinds of tribes, ethnic groups, all kinds of genders, and just be in one place, forget about their differences, and just shout and scream at the top of their voices for their team and support their team. This was demonstrated in 1995 here in South Africa when we won the Rugby World Cup. Since then, our president, Nelson Mandela, made that statement that the sport has got the power, to unite people of all kinds behind one purpose, which is to win for their country. And I think that has resonated over the years. So therefore, I think for me, sport is a uniting force. Now bring it home here at the North-West University. We are a university that resulted 20 years ago from a merger of two historically diverse universities, University of Bophuthatswana, former University of Bophuthatswana, and the former PUC. And therefore, inevitably, you had Bophuthatswana defined as a black campus and Potchefstroom defined as a white campus. Now, it has been a journey to integrate these two. But one of the things that I see in reality, in spite of small skirmishes of tensions here and there, but when we meet to support our rugby team here, we are shouting with one voice. When we meet to support our soccer team in Mahikeng campus, we shout in one voice. So I have seen sport uniting people. It continues to do that for the North-West University to make us a united, strong force for good.
Awesome. Leadership philosophy and maybe strategy. You have a high pressure, high impact career. How do you personally recharge and maintain like a balance with everything that's going on?
Yeah, I think it is important, in spite of your very busy schedule, to always make time for your health, your family, and then the work on the other side. So my recharging moments would be spending time with family as much as I can, or with the animals, going to my cattle and my goats. My father and my uncle taught me this, that for livestock to thrive, it needs to understand your hand, your touch. It's not enough for you to hire people, to employ people to look after your stock. You also have got to be hands-on whenever you can. And that I do as part of my slow time. I go for the vaccination time, the branding time, which is a bit of work, but also very pleasing to the heart.
Is there a personal philosophy or a guiding principle, perhaps, maybe a quote that you live by?
It's actually not somebody's quote. It's my formulation. In the execution of your mission, you should not aim to please everybody. You must aim at doing the right thing, and the right people will be pleased. Aim to always do the right thing. The right people will notice and will be pleased. Do not aim to please everybody.
Otherwise, we could sell ice cream.
Exactly.
Outside of maybe personal achievements, what gives you the greatest satisfaction or a sense of fulfillment?
Well, fulfillment for me is that, I am there for my family. I feel fulfilled every time any one of my family, my kids, that is, and my wife. But also I am someone who tries to be very accessible to my extended family. And anytime I could be of assistance to them, it pleases me. It gives me some sense of satisfaction. I also am someone who tries very much to reach out to the needy people. And every time in my village, for example, every time I help a family, I help a young man achieve something, it's something that pleases me.
What is success to you?
Success is, for me, success can be defined in one sentence. It is multifaceted and it is deeply personal. For example, seeing my children grow to be accomplished and compassionate young adults means I have instilled something in them successfully. That is success. Success also means to me not just positions or accolades, but also impact. The impact that my presence, that my the application of my skills and expertise, the impact that those make to society, it also defines success to me. So I think, to sum it up, I think success to me would be to leave a legacy, not only for my family, my children, to my family, but a legacy that would say on my tombstone, here lies a man who has selflessly contributed to the betterment of society. That is the kind of success I would like to be defined by. Now that would touch family, the university, that means the students we produce here, they must see that in me, and society in general, whether nationally or internationally. That is what I would like to leave behind.
Have there been any figures, perhaps from history or literature, that has profoundly inspired you, or like a mentor? Has there anyone been in your life?
The obvious one would be President Nelson Mandela, for his gracious and selfless service to society, for his spirit of forgiveness and unity, and the treatment of people equally, taking everybody as a VIP in his life. That to me is an icon to learn from. Also, a person like Mahatma Gandhi, who, in spite of very hostile, circumstances, was a proponent of non-violence, but in being non-violent, still managed to push transformative, agendas across society in such a way that society transforms to be a better society than he found it. And perhaps closer to my profession, a person like Marie Curie. So Marie Curie, or Curie, some called him Curie, some called her Curie, was a Polish scientist, female scientist, who discovered radioactivity working with other men. So what is important, what do I draw from her, is, her resilience in a male-dominated society, being pushed away by men, but persevered to make, groundbreaking discoveries that still define and have impact in our lives today. For example, her discovery is what drives today the treatment of cancers using, nuclear medicine. Lastly, I think the Reverend, the Bishop, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, I think, is someone that we all look up to for being a force for good, a human rights activist who also, was someone like Nelson Mandela who saw people as one, who aspired for the success of all, who never antagonized people unnecessarily, who ensured that he drives the message of unity, promoted human rights for all. And those are my historical figures.
When you think of the future of South Africa, I think one of the words that I gave you now was Africa, and you said huge potential. So maybe just let's focus on South Africa. What is personally excites you most about South Africa, and then obviously the other parties, what keeps you up at night about South Africa?
I would say one thing that excites me about South Africa is the potential we hold as a country, both as a youthful nation. From youth comes a lot of potential. The potential we have in our resources as a country, endowed with mineral resources, that spells a bright future if these are well executed. You have the commodities, you have the human resources. That combined can drive serious productivity, and that can enrich the nation through their production of and exploitation of these minerals for the greater good of the country. That's one thing that keeps me positive. But of course, that will not happen in a vacuum. It can only happen if you have the right leadership that is more about the country and the people, and less about a political party or a personal desire to enrich themselves. So that's the first part. What keeps me awake, contrasting to what I just said, is you have the youth as an asset on the left, but on the right you have a very depressed youth. Youth that is angry, angry because of lack of opportunities. We have a very high youth unemployment. And my uncle, who was a school principal, used to preach to me that idle hands are a devil's workshop. Now, if you have almost 50% of youth population that is unemployed, that force that has got the potential on the left-hand side to take the nation to the next level also has got the potential to bring the nation down. President Mbeki said this in 2008 in one of the African Union conferences, when he foretold what we then witnessed as the Arab Spring, where the Tunisian young people rose to overthrow a government, followed by Egypt and Libya. And these young people were not asking for handouts. They were asking for opportunities to be employed, to shape their lives, to build their own families, and to bring about national prosperity. But the leadership was deaf to these pleas and cries of young people, and the Arab Spring happened. Now, what keeps me awake here is the potential for a South African Spring because of hundreds of thousands of young unemployed people in our country. It keeps me awake.
From that to maybe a future outlook, especially in your line, higher education is changing rapidly, I think, with technology, and there's shifting student needs maybe. What do you see as the biggest opportunity or threat to universities in South Africa, let's say in the next decade?
Let's start with opportunities. I think the discovery of the emergence of new technologies such as artificial intelligence brings about interesting opportunities for how we can transform the educational space to be more accessible, first, to everyone, but secondly, to enable access with success. So not only should the young people have access to education, but we need to enable them to be successful and get out of the system, get in at the right time, get out at the right time, successfully. So I think the technological advancements that we see in the teaching and learning space and in research and innovation are exciting for the young people. The areas of research that emerge are those that are not just abstract, are areas that would make immediate impact. For example, we spoke of water scarcity. Nowadays, just the past three weeks, there has been serious unrest in the country, probably underreported, because of water. There's a water problem in the country. We need to come about with interesting and more advanced ways to ensure that we can make available more potable water through scientific means, desalination being one of them. Those are new areas, well, not very new, but potential areas that our students of today can exploit to make immediate impact to the societies. Maintenance of infrastructure, which is the problem that's causing problems, big protests in the Joburg metro areas. Now, with advanced technologies that our students must learn and apply, you will be able to have what is called to predict when infrastructure will fail, and therefore do predictive maintenance on time before any disaster happens. And talking of disaster, new areas of study today allows the same cohort of students that we have today to be able to predict when the next big thunderstorms, destructive, severe thunderstorms will happen, and floods and so on, and therefore put preventative measures in place to avoid loss of human life. Now, those are the very exciting areas for research, teaching and learning activities that would attract our young people to study something that is immediately useful for society. What are the anxieties I have about the space of higher education nowadays? Of course, the stability of higher education is dictated by governance. If we have governance lapses in the higher education space, we are inviting a lot of unhappiness on our stakeholders. And part of the governance arrangement of higher education is delivery by the shareholder being government. Now, if you have a system that is chronically underfunded, year in, year out, you have reduced grants to universities. It puts, at the same time, you have expectations as government for universities to admit more students. You are putting the resources of the university under severe strain. And instead of teaching a class of, let's say, 50 students, a lecturer teaches a staff of 150 students. And they must mark conscientiously the scripts of 150 students. But you still pay them the same amount that you paid them when they were teaching 50. They are going to leave us. We produce the best academics in this country. And the world is at our. And they will leave us if we do not pay them accordingly. Now, that funding must come from government, but what is happening is that it is continuously declining. So the biggest threat to higher education for me at this point in time is funding and governance. If you don't have proper governance measures in place, proper university councils, proper TVET councils, certain ugly things begin to creep into the system, including the same ugly things that we see in the public sector where we complain of corruption, tender corruption and so on. That if we don't get our governance tight like we have it now, if we allow it to deteriorate and slide, we are inviting a lot of problems, chief amongst them being corruption. That will bring us to our knees. It has brought a number of very respected institutions to their knees. Case in point, PRASA, Transnet, ESCOM, those were the jewels. SAA, those were the jewels of this country. But they have one common thread that brought them down spectacularly, and that is corruption, maladministration. We need to make sure that we don't allow it in the higher education space.
Reflecting on your leadership at the NWU, what transformational changes are you most proud of? And maybe in the same breath, what do you still want to do?
Well, it's quite a number of them. But, I'm not one to self-praise. But when I assumed the office and I gave my inaugural speech on the 22nd of August, on 18 August 2022, I put across about 9 points that I thought I must accomplish. And I'm surprised at year 3 that I managed to accomplish almost 2/3 of them. Among others, in light of very tight financial resources that we face as a university, I set up what we call the North-West University Enterprises, which is a company of the university that creates business to derive third stream income into the university. That was finally set up last year in March. Or was it this year, March? No, last year, March. And it's already showing green shoots on revenue generation for the university. I set out to see to the finalization of the medical school. It is currently under construction. When you drive out of here, you may pass the construction site.
We are very excited about that.
Indeed. And we named it the Desmond Tutu School of Medicine. I set out to start a project towards realizing a School of Mines and Mining Engineering in Rustenburg. It is in motion. We have the Rustenburg municipality has donated land. We have sketches, very good plans, architectural plans that shows how the school will look like. We have appointed a team of consultants to complete the feasibility studies. So we're on the roll. I set out to strengthen collaboration and cooperation between provincial governments, national governments, and the university. We have quite a number of success stories, the Agri-Hub being one of them. It's a collaborative project. We are collaborating strongly with municipalities to build capacity. We have 100 students, 100 graduates that we deployed jointly with the Provincial Department of Cooperative Government and Traditional Leadership. And these students are now on the job for almost 2 years, plowing back their skills to the betterment of service delivery in municipalities. I also set out to put in place the School of Veterinary Sciences in Mahikeng campus. We are on the roll on that too. It is still at its infancy, but all these were approved by council and they are under implementation. I promised to take the university to the world. I said we are doing very well as a university nationally in our rankings, but we need to take the university to the global world so that the global world can understand that there's something good that is being done somewhere in the plattelands of South Africa, in Potchefstroom and Mahikeng and Van der Pijl Park. And thereby enabling the world to learn from us whilst we also learn from them. Since I came into office, we took the university to Africa. We have collaboration, partnerships, new partnerships with the University of the School of Mines of Zimbabwe, with the University of Kigali in Rwanda, with the universities in Uganda, and in the North America, we've signed a memorandum of partnerships with the University of Arizona, with the North Carolina State University, with the University of California State University, and quite a number of them. And in the Caribbean, the University of West Indies, which is one of the biggest universities in the Caribbean islands, we have signed. Now, these partnerships are not just on paper. We have already exchanges that are going on. We signed a memorandum also part of partnership with 3 universities in Brazil this year and 2 universities in Peru. So these promises that I put to the audience that listened to my inauguration are largely accomplished. So I am very proud of that, looking back.
Definitely. It's exciting to listen to this and see what's going on. For us, I mean, I still have small children that must go to university. Yeah. So it excites me. And thank you so much for the effort that you put in. Last 2 questions. I think if we can maybe take it home to young leaders and aspiring maybe entrepreneurs or students, what essential advice would you offer for creating a meaningful and lasting impact in their fields?
Yes, I think first, my starting point is that no matter the pressures of family life, to our students, when you finish your bachelor's degree, don't stop. Strive to achieve as much as you can on the academic side when your youth still allows you, when you still have time, because it's difficult to study whilst you work. So that would be the starting point. At the very least, get your master's degree. Because life today, we have so much abundance of people with bachelor's degrees that it's so competitive out there that you need to stand out. And standing out means you must present something better than a bachelor's degree. And that's why I say in the starting point, our students must not stop at bachelor's. Furthermore, do not lose touch with your communities. Sometimes we tend to think that as educated people, we need to be aloof and isolated. That disconnects us from relevance to the society. And we end up living in our own world. And we'll realize soon that your own world is just an ideal world. Stay connected to your communities, because from that connection, you will understand better the needs of society and where and be able to target your interventions for impact. Lastly, stay humble. Humility, I think, is a virtue that takes you miles and miles in life, successfully. Because humility says it's not about you. It says it's about the good for all. As they say, a greater good. Humility says, I may be, that star that is recognized as the most accomplished nuclear scientist, but ultimately I am part of where I come from. That to me defines what humility is. And if you stay humble, you get all the goodwill you can get from society to be even more successful.
That's an amazing answer. So the last one, my tablet just went down, but I want to ask you, I usually ask this at the end. If you look back, when a time comes, maybe later in life, and you look back on your career, to your friends and family and colleagues, what would you like them to remember about you?
Yeah, I would be very pleased to be retired, surrounded by engineers that we produce from the North-West University, with my interventions. I will be satisfied and happy to be on retirement, being tended after by medical doctors that we produce from this new medical school of ours. I will enjoy my retirement happily if we produce many farmers and growers to secure food security for the country. And most importantly, I will be very, very satisfied if I look back and I see the North-West University that towers in the top 3 universities in South Africa and in Africa. Now, those are my, wishes, which I can look back proudly to say, in that whole building that you see, I have a brick that I put there. I didn't put the whole building, but I contributed a brick that put that beautiful and strong building that will withstand the forces of nature for years to come. That's how I would like to be remembered.
Professor, on that, thank you so much. It has been a privilege. I talked to Philip and he said, listen, you will probably and can probably be the president of South Africa. So I'm definitely going to vote for you if you stand. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.